Unexpected bonds. My roommate, Kian Blackwood, was a walking contradiction. He was a stickler for cleanliness. No one was allowed to so much as sit on his bed, and he'd turn his nose up at water offered by just about anyone. But then there was me. I could sprawl out on his bed whenever I pleased, and he'd happily swig from the water bottle I'd already taken a sip from. I was new to the big city, so I just assumed this was how close friends behaved. That is, until the rumors started swirling that we were more than just friends. I'm Landon Reed, a small-town guy who'd always dreamed of making it big in the city. When I first arrived at Ashford University in Metro City, I was like a kid in a candy store, gaping at the towering skyscrapers and the bustling streets. I was so distracted by the city's grandeur that I wasn't paying attention as I rushed to find my dorm. That's when I crashed right into Kian and his group of friends. I felt mortified as I realized I'd stepped on his expensive sneakers. One of his friends, a tall, lanky guy named Chase, immediately scowled at me. "Watch where you're going, newbie. You should clean Kian's shoes right now." I was about to comply, my face burning with embarrassment, when Kian stopped me. "It's fine," he said with a warm smile. "You look like you're struggling with all that luggage. Let us help. Where are you staying?" I stammered. No. I can manage," but he insisted, and his friends started taking my bags. I told them I was in Building B, room 307, but when we got to Building C, they started heading inside. Panicking, I tugged at Kian's sleeve and whispered, "I'm in Building B." Kian just shrugged and explained, "Building B is full. The dean told me earlier that new students have to go to Building C, and that's how I ended up sharing a dorm with Kian. At first I was nervous about living with him, especially since I'd heard he could be a bit hot-tempered, but we hit it off right away. He showed me around campus, introduced me to the best places to eat, and even helped me with my course registration. One sunny afternoon, as we were sitting in the campus cafeteria, my classmate Ethan sidled up to me. "Landon, you and Kian seem really chummy. Are you two dating?" I stared at him, confused. "Dating? But we're both guys. Is that even a thing?" Ethan gaped at me. "Of course it is. You seriously didn't know?" I shook my head. "I'm from a small town. We don't have that kind of thing back home." After Ethan left, I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said. I started to notice how differently Kian treated me. That night, when I came out of the shower, Kian had saved a spot for me on his bed, as usual. But I said, "Kian, I think I should start sleeping in my own bed from now on." The room fell silent. Kian's hand, which was adjusting his pillow, froze. He looked at me, his brows furrowed. "What's going on? Did someone say something?" I shook my head, not wanting to rat Ethan out. "I just think it's not proper, and I can take care of myself." Kian's expression turned cold, and his eyes hardened. He didn't say a word, but grabbed my arm and pulled me onto the bed, wrapping his arms tightly around me. "Don't move. I'm really angry right now, and I don't know what I'll do if you keep pushing me away," he said in a low, menacing voice. I was terrified. I'd never seen this side of him before. All night long, I lay awake, tense in his embrace. The next day, I found out Kian had gotten into a fight with Ethan. Ethan's face was bruised, and he shot me dirty looks whenever he saw me. I knew he thought I'd told Kian what he'd said. That evening, when I came out of the shower, I was torn. If I climbed into my own bed, I was scared Kian would be furious. But if I went back to his bed, it felt like I was giving in. Kian was sitting on the bed, scrolling through his phone. As soon as I reached for the railing of my bed, his eyes snapped up and his gaze pinned me in place. I swallowed hard and walked over to his bed. Kian's expression softened and he pulled me close, nuzzling his face into my neck. I shivered at the sensation, a mix of fear and something else I couldn't quite name. During a basketball game, Kian was on fire on the court. I was sitting on the sidelines, holding a water bottle for him. When there was a break, he jogged over to me. Some girls nearby started giggling and whispering about how handsome he was. Kian didn't pay them any attention. He reached for the water bottle, and our hands brushed. A girl exclaimed, "They look so cute together." I panicked and yanked my hand back. Kian's face darkened. He grabbed my hand and locked it with his on the bottle, then started drinking, unfazed by the stares around us. I was trapped and my heart was pounding in my chest, That night in the dorm, things took a turn. Kian pinned me down on the bed, and his hands started to roam. I pleaded, "Kian, don't. Please stop." But he didn't listen. I was scared and confused. His actions were getting more and more intense. Just then, my phone rang. It was my mom. She told me that a girl from our hometown, Scarlett, had also been accepted to Ashford University. "Landon, she's all alone in the city. You need to look after her," Mom said. I agreed. When I met Scarlett on campus, she was struggling with her luggage. I rushed over to help. As we moved her things into the dorm and explored the campus, we had a great time chatting. We had so much in common, coming from the same small town. That night, after I walked Scarlett back to her dorm, Kian called. The second I picked up, his angry voice boomed through the phone. "Who's that girl? I leave for a few hours and you're already cozying up to someone else?" I tried to explain, "She's just a friend from back home." "Don't be like this." But Kian wouldn't listen. "Stay away from her or you'll regret it," he threatened. I was angry. "You don't own me. You're just trying to control me," I shouted. Kian was silent for a moment, then said coldly, "Fine, do whatever you want. You're nothing but a toy to me anyway." With that, he hung up. I was devastated. I realized I might have lost Kian for good. I had decided to move out of the dorm. I went to the dean and applied for a room change. To my surprise, he approved it quickly. When I started packing my things, my other roommates were shocked. "Landon, are you moving out? Does Kian know?" I just nodded, not wanting to talk about it. I figured Kian didn't care about me anymore. When I moved into my new dorm, there was a guy named Damien there. He had a large tattoo on his neck and looked really intimidating. As soon as he saw me, he sneered, "Aren't you Kian's little gumban?" "What? Did he dump you?" I was offended. "That's none of your business," I snapped. Damien walked over and put his foot on my mattress. "I heard you two have a thing going on. You must be good at something for him to keep you around." I pushed his foot off and told him to leave me alone. But Damien grabbed my arm and pinned me down. "How about you give me a try? I can pay you well," he said lewdly. I was disgusted. I slapped him hard across the face. Damien was furious. "You dare to hit me? I'll beat you up," he roared and raised his hand. I closed my eyes, bracing for the impact, but instead I heard a loud thud. I opened my eyes and saw Kian punching Damien repeatedly. Damien didn't stand a chance and was soon lying on the ground, groaning. Kian then grabbed my hand and took me out of the dorm. We went to a secluded garden on campus. Kian pinned me against a wall. I was scared, not knowing what he was going to do. But then he kissed me. It was a fierce, passionate kiss. I was shocked at first, but then I found myself responding. After a while, Kian let go and looked at me. "Do you know how worried I was about you? You're mine and I won't let anyone hurt you," he said. I realized that I had feelings for Kian too. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things," I said. Kian stroked my hair. "Will you be mine?" "For real this time?" I nodded. "Yes, I want to be with you." After that, we officially became a couple. We moved into an apartment near the campus. Everyone on campus knew about our relationship. At first I was a bit shy when people stared at us, but gradually I got used to it. We walked hand in hand on campus, not caring about others' opinions. When summer vacation came, I took Kian back to my hometown. I was nervous about telling my parents about our relationship. When I finally did, my parents were shocked and opposed it. They didn't even want to talk to Kian, but Kian didn't give up. Every day he helped my parents with the farm work, cooked delicious meals, and even fixed the leaky roof of our house. He also made friends with the neighbors, bringing them fresh produce from our garden and chatting with them. Slowly but surely, Kian won over my parents. By the end of the summer, they finally accepted our relationship. One night, as we were lying on the grass, looking at the stars, Kian turned to me. "Landon, I love you so much. I want to be with you forever," I smiled. "I love you too, Kian." Kian then got up, and from behind a tree, he pulled out a bouquet of wildflowers and a simple ring. He knelt down in front of me. "Landon, will you marry me?" My eyes filled with tears of happiness. "Yes, I will," I exclaimed. At that moment, the night sky seemed to light up with our love, and we shared a tender, passionate kiss that sealed our future together.